Hey, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I don't know why I'm doing this. Alright, so first let me say that I am petrified of needles. Like, that is no joke, alright? I have a tattoo already, and it was such a mission to get, alright? Having said that, I'm issuing a tattoo challenge. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, what is that? Well, there's a link in the description below. Please go check it out. It's called the Tattoo Challenge. In a nutshell, if you guys can get me to 5,000k subscribers before the 16th of August, I'm gonna get a tattoo chosen by you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I decided to do this. Having said that, enjoy the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Funny You Should Say That. We changed the name, and I had to remember that for a second.
Yes. Funny you should say that.
Funny
you should say that,
Joe. Yes, there's a lot of puns. All right, cool. So I'm noticing that some of you may not have noticed that we're missing one of the guys. Peter, if you're watching this, man, we're trying to get a hold of you. Like, just for the record, we're trying to get a hold of you on Skype. We're trying to get you to join. I'm going to keep on trying to keep you to join or get you to join.
We need a token foreigner. We need at least one. We're talking about a lot of things. Yeah, we need a token foreigner in this speech to make sure everything's balanced.
Joe's been accused of many things. Joe can't be accused of xenophobic behavior as well now.
No. I mean, Joe's been accused. Need a representative from the real Africa, from Africa.
The real Africa.
Just on
Africa.
Like, what is the most African that you can be? Like, I mean, is there like ranks of Egyptian that you could be? Is there like? Don't come here with your own.
No. Egyptian is like Super Saiyan African. You can't qualify that.
No, Egyptians, most of them don't even consider themselves African anyway. But
it's on the cusp. They're like European light, They're on that cusp.
Nah, man, black is black, fam. African is African. That's pretty much it. If you're gonna go into skin tone, then it's another thing. But then, sometimes you just feel like, but that guy's black, like that.
Tomorrow, I just wait for tomorrow. People in front, Koi's son arriving in front of Obakeng's door tomorrow, saying, "But we're also African."
No, of course they are. They've been here for long, guys. This is gonna go into another realm now. But anyway,
I just want to know what makes you African. How many generations do you have to be here before you can consider yourself African?
Birth. Don't know.
Okay.
Black parents on either side.
I think that settles that.
Yeah.
Birth. I think we're good now.
Anyway. No. Please, your niece can't take it. You
Thank you.
Please. I don't know if your medical aid covers that too. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm only on hospital.
All right,
we don't want to unscrew those two screws in your knees, man.
Guys, we do have an audience watching. Undying Brush says, hello. Mr. Punisher is back saying away. And Yolanda is saying, hello, Mazanzi, an legal alien. I think she meant and legal alien. And then to answer your question, Werner, apparently it's Nigerian. It's the most African you can get. And that's underlying Brush says that. And then Eleutheria saying, I'm just here to hear Mikhail talk about Joe's instrument again. That's a terrible inside joke that I have with myself. Ignore me.
That does sound like a very, very inside joke.
Is very.
All right, so tonight we're gonna do things a little bit differently.
In Africa. Sorry. I'm getting very, very, very controversial here. You should, before I get cancelled, because we are talking about those people today. now they're gonna take away my black certificate. Like, no.
All right.
What did you say about Kenyans? We are revoking your membership to the blackness. We are even cancelling your brown skin. We're cancelling your brown skin. You're not allowed to use cocoa butter anymore, shea butter. All the shit that we use. Now here I am. I have to go buy. I don't know what lotion white people use because you guys don't use lotion. I don't know. Whatever. No, that's our shit as well. No, that's our shit. Vicks. I don't know Vicks.
Hey, don't
whatever.
think you've got the phone on anything, motherfucker.
But petroleum. Hey man, we have
skin too.
All right.
We have more use
too. Look at
All right.
this
Before we get into a debate about lotion.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I know what else y'all use lotion for. I'm just talking about lotion for skin. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about lotion for the skin. Not talking when you're on your second category on Pornhub. No, that's not the lotion I'm talking about. I'm talking about, let me shut up, guys. Excuse. I've had a bad day, so I'm taking it on.
There's just no way this is gonna get monetized ever. Okay, so all right,
it's fine. We've already been cancelled. No one's going to pay us to start off with.
All right, so for those of you who are tuning in now, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. We're going to try and streamline this. This is the first time we're going to try. I don't know where Peter is. I'm going to keep on trying to call him to come on. Peter, if you do, hopefully you're watching this right now. Please stay on Skype. Please, we're going to try and keep on calling you to come through. But what we're going to do is I'm going to make a bit of an opening statement, and then each one of us will have 5 minutes to give their opinions on what the topic that I explain or discuss or mention. And everybody can have their 5 minutes. After the 5 minutes, unfortunately, Peter was supposed to be the last one to go, and then also after he was done, have questions because he's so good at asking questions. But once we're all done, we will take questions from you guys, so keep the questions coming through regardless, and we'll have an open discussion from there on. So tonight's topic is basically, Obakeng mentioned it last week, how entertainers and specifically comedians seem to be. How did you put it, Obakeng? Can you remember the exact words?
Ooh. I can't remember the exact words because I said it I didn't really say it in passing. I said it as a statement. I can't remember the same word, but it was something along the lines of how we also tend to police each other around comedy and what needs to be said, why you can't say some certain things and why you cannot.
Yes.
And nobody really has the right to do that because comedy does not belong to a certain person, does not belong to a certain comedian, and it doesn't matter. Your tenure in the game doesn't really validate you to be higher than anybody else.
Yes.
It's just pure talent. It was somewhere around there.
Fantastic. Cool. So I'm going to give my opinion on this, and then everybody will get 5 minutes. We'll go... Mikhail, you'll go after me, and then Obakeng, and then Werner. I think this is a perfect topic to talk about, especially after what happened this week. So for those of you who don't know, on my Twitter account, I made a thank you to Gareth Cliff because he actually played one of my TikTok videos on his show, So What Now, which is currently airing on DSTV if you're keen to watch it. And he obviously mentioned that it was from me and it was a funny TikTok video, and it was a very proud moment for me because I was like, hey, my TikTok video is on TV. That's pretty cool. So I obviously shared this with the public on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm not going to mention his name, but a comedian felt that he had authority to comment and say, your video sucks. When I engaged him, he said, oh, I meant you suck. And then this obviously was followed by a lengthy conversation between me and him and other people. Mikhail got involved, Peter and Werner also got involved, making some interesting points. But I think this is in line with what Obakeng is saying as well, that some comedians feel the need to tell another comedian, oh, your stuff is shit, or sucks, or you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't use this, or you shouldn't do that. And I think, to some extent, yes, from a fellow performer to another fellow performer, advice is always welcome, especially if it's constructive criticism. That is fine. But there's a difference between giving constructive criticism and saying that your joke just flat out sucks. That's insulting, belittling, and in some ways a bullying tactic. Maybe you feel inferior to this other comedian. Maybe you feel jealous, envious, or maybe you're worried that this comedian is on the up and up and may take some opportunities away from you. This is, of course, a ridiculous belief to have, Some comedians feel that they have ownership of the market. They feel that they are in control. There's rumors of gatekeepers in the comedy industry, which I haven't really experienced and I don't really think exist. But there are comedians out there that will try their best to discredit you, to ridicule you, and to spread rumors about you. And in this woke culture, these opinions, or some of the comedians that exist right now in our industry, because of their stature, because of their experience, and because of how long they've been in the industry, they have quite a voice. If a very well-respected comedian says that you are so-and-so, you are pathetic, you are not funny, chances are that is going to have a ripple effect in the comedy industry, and no one's going to book you because they respect the opinion of said comedian that is well known. I have heard some of these stories happen. Now, they are very rare and it does not happen very often, but something that is more commonly that happens more commonly than that is comedians who think they have the right to tell another comedian, your art sucks. It is wrong, it is belittling, and it is something that shouldn't be tolerated. In the comedy industry, we do say that we should call each other out when we have done something wrong, when maybe we have said something that is a bit controversial or insulting to the populace or to our audience, and that's fine. Obviously, as a performer, we have a responsibility when we're on the stage to say things that, while controversial and push the envelope, we shouldn't ridicule, belittle, or insult our audience. But then again, isn't it the audience who decide if we're funny or not? Isn't it the audience who decide what is insulting and what isn't? Is it not the audience who at the end of the day will decide if a comedian is actually a comedian, because they are the ones that are going to pay to come to our shows, not the comedians? As a matter of fact, when comedians come to other comedian shows, they have a comp. They come in for free. And usually it's all smiles and laughter and handshakes and sharing beers together. But maybe behind closed doors, that same comedian will talk about you behind your back with no regard of who's around them, and forget even that they were supposed to say something in secret, and it comes back to another comedian saying, hey, this comedian said this about you, and thus creating this atmosphere and environment of just high school politics. I think one thing is for sure. Every artist should be allowed to produce whatever art they want to, whatever content they want to. And yes, a fellow artist can have an opinion, but their opinion is not final and is not gold. I think it is up to the audience to decide what makes an artist and if an artist is successful or not. Obviously, this will come out of, obviously this will be a bit different when we talk about awards and award ceremonies, but I think that's a topic that we might be able to get into a bit later, because that is a little bit different. All right, having said that, Mikhail, you have 5 minutes to give your opinion on the subject. And by the way, guys, Obakeng and Werner and Mikhail and myself, if there are any questions that we come up with, we'll jot them down. Obviously, we're allowed to crack some jokes, but let's not distract each other from getting to the point. So, Mikhail, I know you can't see the 5-minute timer, so I will keep you updated. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left. Okay, and that will apply to everyone. So, your 5 minutes starts now.
All right, awesome. It's kind of weird going first. I didn't have enough time to finish building my massive soapbox again, so I'll stand on a small little hand sanitizer box for this one. Okay, I'm going to firstly start off and say it outright. I think 98% of comedians that I have come across are cowards. I'm saying that straight. I honestly think they are cowardly and they act cowardly. And I think their behavior of correcting other comedians and telling them what to do, telling them what not to do, having this influence to determine whether they can perform or whether they can't, is very much a very vicious circle of being cowardly and being selfish. They're being selfish because they're looking out for themselves, and to a certain extent, as a stand-up comedian, we essentially do a one-man job every time we perform, but there's so much a focus on myself as an individual, and this is now where the woke culture and the cancel culture comes in, and how comedians are canceling each other. How is it going to reflect upon me if I have an outspoken comedian on my gigs, or I've shared a stage with an outspoken comedian? How is this going to appear to other people? Because remember, I'm here for me. I want to do the thing for me, and it's going to look really bad for me if an outspoken comedian is doing a gig where I am at, because I'm going to be guilty by association, and then the 2-minute career that I have, because I still work a fucking 9 to 5 and don't do this full time, is apparently going to end. And then it comes back also to being cowardly. They're so scared to go, but hold on, wait a minute, he's not actually doing anything wrong, because they don't want to lose the little 30 seconds of fame they have. So this vicious circle of cowardice and being selfish, eating each other constantly over and over and over. And it's sad that comedians are reprimanding other comedians in this cancel culture climate. I'm not saying, before I start, I'm not going to say that comedians are the alpha and the omega of the arts. Many struggles and many social issues have been won through music, through art, through sculpture, poetry. But I think in certain cases in life, I think stand-up comedians are the last line. We might not have the biggest say, but many times we have the last say, which I think is very, very important. And these comedians that are canceling one another and policing each other have missed the point. The whole point of being a stand-up comedian is looking at the imperfections of life and shining a light on it. Some of our material makes use of stereotypes. Obviously, we try to avoid it because certain stereotypes can be very harmful. But in general, stereotypes are a reflection of the human imperfection. And we shine a light on this human imperfection by using humor, by going, this is our faults. And it's okay to have these faults, but let's laugh about it and then work on it. And we have a very important role to play there. Is because we are sometimes capable of saying the things that an artist doing a portrait might not be able to bring across, or a poem or a drama piece. And we have the ability to fix certain issues with humor and laughter and love. And we also have that same ability to shine a light on painful things and difficult issues through humor. So these comedians that are canceling each other and having these cliques and acting cowardly and not being able to actually stand in front of you and say what they want to say is detrimental to comedy, not in our community, not in comedy and in this country in general. The art as a whole is in danger of falling apart because we're checking one another. Our job has always been to check other people using humor. Look at yourself, have retrospection. And now you're doing that to us. And you're not even using humor. You're using anger and bulldozing tactics. So, yeah.
All right. That's 2 seconds left. But, yeah. Perfect. All right. Cool. So, thank you, Mikhail, for that. And, I want to keep... I'm just going to mention this because I want you guys to keep it in mind for when the questions pop up. But someone commented, Torture Sphere said, guys, don't know if you got the news, but comedy is dead. It cannot exist in a void. Online stand-up comedy is not a thing. So just don't comment on that now, but just when we get to the question section, we'll address that, and I will, I'll get to the other comments in a bit.
Noted, pencil it in.
Yes. So, Obakeng, your 5 minutes starts now.
I don't know if I'm gonna go for a whole five minutes,
That's
but
fine.
I will try to make my time. One of the best.
So nice.
I'm actually a nice guy, man. You know, I'm outwardly what Mikhail yearns to be inside. You know what I mean? He yearns to be a nice person from the inside, but he cannot manifest that.
You underestimate my douchery.
I know. Look, one of the best advices I've gotten from a comedy big brother of mine, was that don't get yourself involved in the bullshit. Otherwise, the bullshit will suck you in when it comes to comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Pious.
Yeah, no, it's not
Echo.
pious. It's actually. Well, Pious echoed those statements, but it was actually KG. Okay. You know, KG gave me though, and over time, also because I'm new in the comedy space, but I'm not new to entertainment. You know what I mean? I've seen these kinds of behaviors from hip hop, where I originally started my artistry, into comedy as well. These things sort of cross pollinate? Help there, white man on the left with the English. But they cross, you know what I mean? They cross past these things.
Pregnant.
That thing, you know? And as you said, Joe, in the beginning, you know, helping people, constructive criticism can be all the way welcome. And when somebody has like more years and experience of comedy than you, it is worthwhile to listen to what they have to say. But that is if they have something constructive to say. You know what I mean? If they have something that is there to build you or to warn you. Like, for example, when KG told me, listen, if you get yourself involved too much, this is the kind of things that may happen. And that, because he's been involved, he's been part of comedy for so long, you can see that thing play out when you interact and mix with different comics. You know what I'm saying? So you see that. So now, my thing is now, it doesn't do anything for you if you just want to, like, I'm looking for the other English word. If you just want to discredit something, if you just want to discredit someone for the mere fact of them existing in the comedy space, because comedy does not belong to you. And in the same sense, we all have different tastes. I know comics that, for example, a lot of us think, for example, Dave Chappelle is, you know, the king of comedy at the moment. But I know comics that don't like Dave Chappelle. Flat out would say, yo, I don't like Dave Chappelle. And that's fucking fine. You know what I mean? You don't have to like everybody. What my thing is, why are you inserting your nose in the fact that you don't like them? If you don't like them, move the fuck along. Why is it that you have to go and tell other people if you don't like them? If you don't like them, move the fuck along. Why are you employing yourself through nobody's concern, or nobody's ask rather, to tell them how to do their comedy when, in fact, you don't like them to begin with? What gives you that authority? You know what I mean? And to some people, when they've been around for that long, but yet we don't see the fruits of your involvement, of your tenure in comedy, then what have you been doing this whole time? What went wrong with you? Because there are probably other people that came that maybe had more flavor than you, maybe had more stuff, maybe had more likability, maybe were doing slapstick jokes that you don't like, whatever the fuck it is. But they happen to eclipse you in terms of their popularity. Maybe it's because of they work harder, or they utilize the tools that they have at hand, social media, radio, platforms like yours, Joe, whatever the case may be. They utilize those things. You don't, but you've been in comedy for 10 years. Clearly it means there's some things that you weren't doing right that the people came after you saw and they did right, and therefore they climbed on. I mean, they progressed further than you. Does that make them immature because you've been on stage more times than them? No. In fact, it makes you blind, because it means you've been playing this game for so long, but you don't see the opportunities that are right in front of you. Because right now, where we live, right now in the climate that we're in, when it comes to comedy and entertainment at large, right, you cannot just depend on what you do on stage, and that's the only thing that's going to make you who you are. You cannot depend on that 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes that you get at gigs or at clubs or whatever. You have to do other things, and if you're not mastering those, sucks on you. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know if I'm going off topic here, but if there is no one that has absolute authority on what another comedian has to say.
Yeah.
Nobody has that authority. I don't have the authority over. If I don't like your comedy, I don't like it. But if I can add something to it that's constructive, yes, I can. If I have absolutely nothing to say, I shouldn't say anything at all. So my mantra when it comes to that stuff is, I try by all means not to get involved when I hear things, because people talk like this. It's a known thing. Comedians talk about other comedians. You know what I mean? Yeah. They talk about people, and you hear these things. And my thing is, I'm trying to not engage when it comes to gossip, which is exactly what it is, gossip about other comedians, because one, I don't know what's fueling it, and two, if the person that's going to fuel that kind of topic demure to you, definitely you can bet that they can say that same thing to other people, and that's just basic human nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I believe that, yes, have an opinion where it matters. Also have an opinion where you're trying to help and grow. But if all you're doing, if your intent is just to try to belittle, diminish, and discredit, then you're not doing any of us a favor. We don't need your discredit. It doesn't do anything. Just rather shut the hell up and let me fail. If my involvement in comedy, you think I'm going to fail because the way I'm doing it doesn't appeal to you, then let me fail in grace. Let me gracefully fail and fix my shit. But if you're not going to come to the game and just discredit me and not help me fix my shit, you're not helping the industry. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping anyone.
Fantastic. I gave you an extra few minutes, but it's fine. I like what you like. I liked what you had to say. I can see it came from a place of passion. So
I mean, you couldn't give him land. You can't give him land. So you
When I have to come to you for that. You mentioned you have a piece of land. Yeah.
Hey, we all welcome.
I don't know. And as you can see, I have a code right behind me.
Here, we work here. We work hard on this land, ne?
Wow.
Obakeng is going to take the land and call it Obarania.
No, man.
But well
no
said.
white people allowed.
Well said, Oba. All right, so Werner, your 5 minutes begins now.
Cool. Yeah. So a few things. Now, first thing, there's a great scene from one of Eddie Murphy's show, where he talks about being chastised by Bill Cosby for talking dirty in the show, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but right, I think most of us are familiar with it. And he phones up his John, what's his that other dude that died. It's also a famous comedian. I forgot his name. No. He's he spoke about him in the show. But anyway, he says to him basically, he says like, do you get paid for what you say? Do the people laugh when you say what you say? And if those 2 points are true, then tell Bill to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
Have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
Smile and shut the fuck up. Yeah, exactly. So tell him to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. That's my first thing. It's ultimately the audience is the judge, right? About what's funny and what's not funny. So, Joe, whether any other comedian for that matter of fact may think that your comedy is funny or not is totally and utterly fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter, right? If other people find you funny and they enjoy watching it and keep entertaining them, it's that simple. Now, taking advice from comics, and this is, and I want to reiterate what Obakeng said as well. It's that you don't want to throw away constructive criticism, and I think as a comedian you should be able to take constructive criticism, even if it hurts, and you should be able to incorporate that, because there's a lot of the people that has, comedy is like it's like a recipe, we all know it, there's like a flow, there's an energy to it, and there's a rhythm with the crowd. You got to read the rhythm. So there's all these basic things. These basic things, so you learn those basic tools up to this point, up to here. But whatever you develop inside this tiny little cocoon, that's up to you, right? And I think a lot of the some of the comics that I used to, perform with, back in the, when I was still performing a lot in Cape Town, a lot of those guys gave good constructive feedback, even if I didn't necessarily agree with him at that point in time, but later, I'd maybe try and joke a little bit differently, and hell, it worked, and I'd say, thanks for the, and sometimes it's just, their advice was just shitty and it just didn't work, and you go, so sometimes you have to feel for your gut, and sometimes you kind of, it's a push and a pull. But I think in this particular instance, what we're talking about, it was none of these. It wasn't constructive criticism. It wasn't any of that. This particular individual obviously has taken, issue with your political views, right? We know this. You know this. He knows this. So that particular attack was nothing more than just like a political attack. So it was a cheap shot. And hence my response to him was something towards that kind of line. He had nothing to prove there, not a single solitary thing to prove. And all he did was really just illustrate the kind of individual that he is. That he felt the need to belittle someone else's work for no real reason. For no real reason other than he felt that it was necessary for him to kind of try and get a cheap shot in, and thought that maybe he'd get away with it. And and it's bullshit. That I say is bullshit. And I don't care who you are in comedy. I'll say this to George Carlin. I'll say this to to anyone, like anyone. If you're just being malicious and you disagree with someone, because of their politics, and you attack their art because of their politics, you're being a douche, right? Because it means you're not able to discuss the political view, on a face value, and still get to a point where you go, okay, I understand this human being, maybe their politics isn't like a one-dimensional thing, So what he did was weak. It was just weak. And I'll end off, with this saying, where I kind of agree with Mikhail said is that I think a lot of comics, for the most part, are pussies. It's so if I had to go to war, to go choose a battle, I certainly would not fucking choose out of comedy, because they fucking, a lot of them are just backstabbing, talk shit about each other, and the moment that they have a chance, they'll fucking take your jokes, take your material. It's real. It happens. So. But it's because the industry is also so small. I don't know how much time, but that's a whole other topic. Why you have this fucking predatory-like behavior.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. This is the part where Peter would go and then ask, and then he would give his opinion and then ask questions.
I got questions.
I think.
I got questions.
I will not stand here and take this abuse. Obakeng, where my 20 rand, motherfucker?
Hey, yeah. I mean, cool. Like Mikhail, you could just stand in for him. Great stuff. I mean, you got to cover.
I had questions, fam. Okay, no, I just sounded like Kanye West. No.
Nice.
That was Kanye West.
Yeah. Peter, I hope you're in the chats. Ask your lovely questions. I think Peter purposely didn't join this panel for
keep it a buck.
For some reasons. But anyway, so what we're going to do now is I think before I get to the comments, which, by the way, there have been a lot of comments, so thank you all so much for watching and commenting. We will get to them very quickly. Maybe take a few minutes to, if there are, do any of you have any questions for each other?
I would like to add something. The nice thing about the structure we have is it's a bit more concise and clear. But I think all of us have noticed someone has said something and you went, damn it, would have liked to add to that.
Yeah.
So if I can take the moment, and I don't know if Obakeng and Werner and you possibly want to use the same moment as well, because I think we all made valid points and we fall in very well with one another, but there's something that, I would have liked to say that. Firstly, I agree with Obakeng. In general, Joe can speak out of experience. He's known me the longest here. In general, I don't get involved with the gossip and the backstabbing and the belittling and the opinions of others. because I do think it's childish. We're not in grade 4 anymore.
Yeah.
We're not he said, she said. We're supposed to be comedians and actually be smart enough to take everyday things and make it funny. So in general, I don't get involved. Joe has known me long enough to know I'm the first person to honestly tell a comedian to his face that I don't give a shit what they think of me. I honestly don't. And if this comes across as elitist to any woke comedian watching, I'm really not worried about what a comedian thinks of me. My biggest worry in the morning is choosing what Mercedes I'm going to drive. So I really couldn't give a shit what a comedian thinks about me. That's not going to worry me.
That's so not elitist.
Yeah, you mean you're going to choose which one you're going to pick that is actually driving? You know, because,
no, all of them are running. All of them are running. It's more about choosing which one actually has petrol in.
On a fucking dream, I'm sure it has a petrol running on it this day.
So in general, I don't get involved. I've been outspoken about how I feel that the comedy community that we found ourselves in is toxic, but in general, I don't get involved with, hey man, did you hear so-and-so's doing this? I'm going to be honest and play straight cards. The only reason I purely got involved with what's going on now initially is Joe's a very good friend of mine, and I don't have a problem if comedians are stabbing each other in each other's backs while I'm not looking, because I couldn't give a shit. Eat yourselves for as much as I can. Go for it. Devour each other and see what's left over. But it wasn't a personal attack on a friend, and that's where I unfortunately had to draw a line. I will keep out of it if I'm the target, because I don't
back your ass up, motherfucker.
Yeah, no, but that's the whole. It came out.
That's
of
a no from me. That's a no from me, Werner. Doesn't suit you. No.
Cultural appropriation
doesn't work.
Would you prefer I get like a fucking pump oxy?
I just love fucking with you because you just did the whole fingers thing, bro. You did the whole fingers thing. That's just no.
So that's.
I'm just joking. I just love fucking with you, man. It's fine. Sorry. I'm getting into.
No, it's fine. We all cracking jokes. Something very few woke comedians can do successfully. No, so like I said, the only reason I got involved is because it's a friend of mine that's now, and you see, and it was so obvious that it was happening. So that's why originally
it wasn't really about Joe's material.
No, that's the whole point. Yeah,
you could see the undertone. You know, we know Joe is seen as like a right-wing racist bigot Trump supporter. We know that when all we know is he's just
that's why I come to the show every time I get an opportunity. That's the reason why I'm just like I want to hear what this Egyptian racist bigot gotta say. This Trump supporter MAGA hat motherfucker.
Thing is, I'm actually loving the flack that Joe's getting, because it's making Afrikaners look less racist. So Joe, thank you for the good community service you've been doing for my people.
Don't you like it how we imported American racism? We were just like, yeah, no. We don't even have fucking Republicans here, by the way. We don't have Republicans.
Everything in America is bigger and better, even their racism.
There we go. See, it was a secret Afrikaner deflecting tactic to bring Joe in, so we can keep hold of our white monopoly capital. So Joe, you unfortunately are the target. No, but so
I love you guys too.
Yeah, so to add with Obakeng, it's simple. I in myself overall agree, don't get involved. It's childish tactics, and it's not worth it. And it's not improving your comedy. Getting involved in these childish spats is not making you write better material. It's not making you improve your technique. It's not forcing you to improve your interaction with the audience. And once again, the audience is the one who determines whether we're funny or not. And by getting involved in these childish tactics, you're being distracted from what your job is, and that's making people laugh. And if people laugh, they like you, and they will make sure that you perform again. And then I agree with Werner as well. I am firstly for constructive criticism. I am. I think we've all received it, and whether you use it or not, that's up to you. You might receive constructive criticism that does not. It's very good advice, but it doesn't fit with the type of style of comedy you want to do. But it's still valuable in some way or another. So constructive criticism, I agree with, because that's the whole point. I love seeing open mic comedians do well on an open mic slot, and you can see there's potential, and you always love the idea that this little bit of criticism might just take him that extra step, and it's a very fulfilling experience seeing someone start an open mic and end where they've ended. It's a very nice thing to see. It's positive. You want to see your fellow comedians, especially the new guys, do well, because it's strengthening your industry. It's making, and it's forcing you to compete. It's forcing you to compete with these really, really good comedians, and that's a positive thing. Secondly, or thirdly, yes, comedians should, to a certain extent, as Werner said, speak to one another if you don't agree with their political opinions. Speak to one another. We spoke about it in part 2 and part 3. Rather afford that individual the opportunity to listen to you and to hear you. And whether he changes his opinion thereafter, that's his prerogative. But speak about it as adults. We are willing to use mature adult topics for our humor. We should also be able to speak about it when we're not on stage, and speak about it as adults in a mature manner. Yes, we spoke about it, that we do have to step in where it is necessary. If a comedian has made a racist joke or a homophobic joke, afterwards speak to that person. We should do that. We should step in when a very terrible moral trespass has been made. But no, don't attack him personally because of that joke. Don't attack him because or her for their views. Don't call them bad comedians because you don't agree with them, because you're being childish. That's like it's like being 7 years old and being mean to the kid in class because he got a PlayStation before you did. That's stupid. That's extremely, extremely bloody childish. We're not children. Yes, we act like children on stage and it's fun, but believe it or not, we fucking aren't. So I just wanted to add it to both of what they said, because it adds very well. So in general, we keep to ourselves, and I think it's best that we do so, but help where you can. That's the whole point of constructive criticism. Help where you can. And if someone made a mistake, educate them on that mistake.
And if you cannot help, and if you don't want to help, don't.
Then shut the fuck up.
And a smile and shut the fuck up, because you're saying it doesn't hurt, and it just don't say anything. Just keep it moving.
But that's in general with life as well.
If you can't say anything nice,
don't say anything at all. So it's we're not exempt from that rule because we tell jokes on stage. Off stage, we are still under those rules. So
I just want to say something.
I'd like to add this. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to say on Mikhail's point, of speaking, and engaging with comedians. Just coming back to what I said. When you differ with each other on political things, right? Before this whole Trump thing, right? How many of us had different political views? Arguably very different.
And we still do.
And we still do, right? But now there's this artificial divide that is created, because if you, by any way or means, even think of supporting what the duly elected president of the United States of America is doing, then you must be a racist, bigoted, and it's just not true, right? Because it's a logical fallacy, right? So first of all, engage with one another, right? And understand where this comes from. But I want to add to that, don't do it via text messages. Do it either via like a face-to-face kind of call like this, right? Because even myself, when I'm typing a response, I can often be a bit more, shall we say, retaliatory than
facetious.
because I'm typing, and context and tone doesn't always come across, So I think and I'm guilty of this, I often do it myself, and then I have to remind myself, like, look, dude, just kind of scale it back, tone it down, because this is, this is not the verbal spoken word. This is actually somebody reading it and interpreting your tone, your anger, everything. So they're creating this whole mental picture of you while they're reading this, and it's arguably not correct. So and that's why I say face-to-face communication, I think, is, at least like this, is vital when you discuss these differences.
Fantastic. All right, so I want to just say something very important right now, and we all should take notice of this. Sam Jam is Peter's brother. So Peter's brother made it to the live stream, and Peter didn't.
Good Lord.
I thought it was serious. I honestly thought
I was like about to say, like, he's like something happened. I'm about to, like, dude, don't fucking do the shit.
Did Peter die? Did he get run over by a bus to Obakeng for his 20 rand? Did he finally have one horse or life too many?
And I had something to add on to what Werner said, but fuck, I forgot now because of this. Fuck.
Sorry, I just think this is fascinating.
Oh yeah, here's what I was gonna say. Here's one of the reasons why I don't engage much when it comes to topics, especially about political views and people on their political views and stuff, is one and one alone. I am not well read, nor am I well versed in how politics work. I know how they affect me. I know how they affect everything in general. But now the intricacies of politics and backing a certain party or structure because of whatever policies that they hold, I don't have enough knowledge about that to engage and to I'm not well read on it, right? So my thing is, if you're going to engage someone based on political views, you better know what the hell you're talking about, because most people will get into those arguments having skimmed off the top of what they see online and on Twitter and headlines and such like, and draw a conclusion about, okay, if somebody ticks X next to Trump, they are immediately this kind of person. If they take X next to DA or ANC or whatever the case may be, they are immediately this kind of person, without even interrogating exactly what that means or even the reasons behind that. They'll just decide. But now take that very same person and try to engage them in real life about that and see how fast they buckle, because most people that do that have no fucking idea what they talk about. They're just working on a popularity stint and they have absolutely nothing to back that up. So my reason for is I'm not going to judge anyone. If I knew my shit about, I don't know,
politics,
everything that is to do with politics, right? If I knew my shit and I wanted to engage you, Joe, for believing it, I will have a discussion with you. This is like, man, this is what, when you are supporting this person, are you supporting this and this and that, or what are your reasons for that? And then I can exactly get where your mind is at. Then I can try to respect your, look, I should respect your position nonetheless, but then I can understand your reasoning behind it, because it might have to do with things that I don't even have an idea about, but yet here I am making a complete conclusion about who you are. And most times when it comes to political affiliations and such like, that becomes a very contentious and also a very personal thing. And you have firsthand experience of it, Joe, with just what happened right now with said person that we shall not mention. You know what I mean? So most people, they skim off the top. They have no idea what they're talking about. They can't even defend it in real life. But yet, when it comes to going online and talking shit on their phones, they're the very first people to do that. Without even going through a 2-minute read of a decent article or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that Obakeng is what makes you not woke. Everything you just said right there is what makes you not woke, because you are able to do something that a lot of woke people don't do, which is realize, like, shit, I don't know enough to have you can have an opinion on anything regardless of how much you know, but there's a difference. Like, for example, what you just said, you admitted you're not very big into politics, so you won't create a debate because you know you'll have limitations. You know that I might say something and you're like, ah, crap, I don't know anything about that. And you won't be able to defend yourself. So instead of engaging, right, you say, you know what, I don't know enough, but what I do know about Joe, besides his politics, I like the guy. That's pretty much what you're saying. Now, what the woke will do is, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Whether if you're whatever you are, and by the way, when people call me a Trump supporter, I'm not actually a Trump supporter. I would vote for Trump, yes, because I just don't like Biden. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Trump's policies, and there's a lot of things I definitely don't think Trump. I think some of the shit he says is very stupid, and he can be a bully and yada yada yada. But besides the point, the thing is, and also I'm American, so I have a right to have an opinion on that. But besides that, the thing is with what you were saying now, Obakeng, is that the woke will just label you by association. And then if they do engage, they just double down. And then they'll start, and the moment you say something that they can't argue, even though you have evidence, they'll just start saying, oh, well, you're an idiot. Oh, you're a bigot. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. And they don't have the ability to self-reflect and say, you know what, maybe I should go and research about this. You know what, maybe Obakeng is right here. Maybe I should, do a bit of research and find out about this stuff. And because that's the thing, I'm open. Like, if you, Obakeng or Mikhail or Werner, ever came up to me and said, like, dude, why? I mean, Mikhail has in the past. Why do you like Trump? I have a conversation. We have a conversation. Right. And I know Mikhail fucking hates Trump. But I'm impartial. But we're still the best of friends. It doesn't affect anything. Just because, like you said now, if you're an ANC supporter or whatever, I mean, like, I'm going to think, yes, there is a part of me that's going to think you're a little bit cuckoo and you need to get examined. But I'm going to want to engage with you and find out, okay, well, why do you like ANC? Exactly. We're going to have a conversation about it. And even if we don't agree with each other, I'm not going to be like, well, just you're an idiot.
To write you off because of it.
Write you off from the face of the world.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know Werner has very extreme opinions about politics, and in the sense of, like, he doesn't like government and fuck the government and stuff like that, and that's his right. He's almost like an anarchist, and that's fine. Just Werner, when you go to war, don't burn my house down. But.
No, I won't. It's the thing is, anarchy is, people have a completely misconstrued idea about what anarchy means. Anarchy simply means willing cooperation.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
I thought anarchy means burn shit down. No police. The A on the walls and the zero and the thing and purge and then the movies and Hollywood, you see, and Busta Rhymes.
All right,
now I know there's
the most anarchist thing you can do is not participate.
That's actually true. I know that.
You are true, yeah. And here's the thing.
Fucking nowhere.
Here's the thing, again, Joe, and Mikhail, all of you actually here, having had experience with books, where cancel culture probably has never, because they don't fucking read anything. There is a process before anything is proven to be fact.
They definitely read headlines.
Well, yeah, well,
if you got 30% for English, I think anyone can read the bloody headline.
I've also read the Daily Sun headlines telling me Tokoloshi chased me out of my of my room and just demanded 50,000. So come on, you know what I mean?
Tell me quickly, just how many people still actually believe in the Tokoloshi?
So many.
Just like,
I believe in Tokoloshis for it, and I believe in certain spells, but also I believe in good African medicinal practice. So yes, I believe in that stuff. And we'll have a discussion about
magic is real.
That at a later stage.
Maybe
I completely believe. I completely believe in curses. I believe in all of that stuff. I believe in healing and I believe in curses. But nonetheless, this is what I was going to. Only good thing, well, not only, but many a time where everything has been proven to be fact or fiction has come from discussion, right? Before you write a book that goes out and gets published and it being the be all end all of whatever subject or at least a very vital component of that subject. It's not just from one person deciding they just woke up one day, decide to write this thing, and then it goes out there and suddenly is gospel. It has to go through a peer review process where people interrogate what's in there. Why is it in there? Have you proven it? Is it beyond reasonable doubt? Blah, blah, blah. It goes through so many layers before it gets sent out into the wild and be like, okay, great. Here's, after all these reviews, it has gone through that. All of these things come from discussion. Songs, everything that has helped the world rather has come from discussion, right? And a lot of people now are not willing to engage in discussion, which is a critical thing to do if you're going to have any kind of growth or progress. You need to have, and you don't have to agree. You can be on opposing sides, and it's good to be on opposing sides because then you get to have ideals from both sides and reasons from both sides, and you can put those things together and come up with something even more brilliant or better, or whatever the case may be, or even disagree at the end of the day, but you have discussed to see that this side is wrong, that, and then we'll meet in the middle, or whatever the case may be. People are not willing to go through that right now because now we're in this era of you're right, I'm wrong, and I will say everything that I can to just prove that I'm right and you're wrong. But I don't even know exactly why you're right, and why I'm right and you're wrong. I know everybody else around me thinks that, so I'm automatically going to think that without any kind of review. So they don't understand the power of discussion, the power of debate, the power of that, the power of review, which is a very critical thing if you're going to grow in any sphere.
I agree with you, Obakeng, and that's the problem with the current media. A lot of the journalists that write today, they don't. I encourage anyone to look up any article 20 years ago, any article, any freaking article, whether it be politics or whatever, or a story. Maybe stick to politics because then you'll get the true feel of what I'm trying to say. Is that back 20 years ago, if you can find it, you would notice that an article was written with both sides in mind. So they would give the one side, and then they'd give the other side, the opposing side, right? And that's true journalism. There's a neutral aspect to it, where a journalist is supposed to be unbiased and give story and look for the truth. Now, read any article from current media, especially in South Africa, and even internationally. There is a common theme, there is a common agenda, there is a common narrative. You start to ask yourself, what's happening with discussion? You bring up a very good point. And that's why comedy is so important. Comedy is so important. The moment we start censoring it like we are, again, this is one of the reasons why we're being censored. Some of the comedians are being censored, or we feel that we can't say certain things. I was there. I used to, and I think a lot of comedians do play it safe. And what I mean by that is they're not really willing to discuss politics or discuss a view or talk about conspiracy theories or any of that stuff because they're scared that either the audience or their fellow peers are going to cancel them if they happen to have a different narrative. And yeah, it's sad to see. Before we end off, I really want to get to the comments. Queen Wordsmith is back with us. Thank you again for tuning in. She says, 1, like Abby job spec, the roles, let me put this up. The role... Yes.
Like any job spec.
Like any job spec, the role changes and adapts to the times. If anything, comedians need to be redefined. 2, I say this because there's this notion that meme creators and random trendy funny posts constitute a comedian. 3, it's not showing. There we go. Absolutely incorrect to align this as being a comedian. It's not an artistic form creating engaging content that sparks interest for a few seconds. That's a very interesting thing. And then she says as well, also, if you're going to offer any criticism, check yourself first. Don't be fucky in the process.
Yes.
So many people say things with their chest and are problematic in the process. Very true. Then we've got Torture Sphere, who I think is a local comedian, saying you can attack people's views and still be hilarious about it. Example, everything Patrice O'Neill did. Torture.
Patrice, man. Patrice said shit. Yeah.
Patrice. And then he says Peter flakes so much he even does it for his online gigs, and the fact that he says that makes me feel like this is a local comedian. Then we have let's see here. Sorry, guys. Then I wanted to see what Sam Jam said about his brother. He said when I mentioned his brother, he said, "Hey, Peter's all right. Pete is Pete. Come on. I love my brother. We love him too, man. He's just we don't know what happened to him. He was supposed to be on tonight, and
I think Peter grew a little bit of hair, and he didn't want to show us like where his hairline actually is. Anyway.
And then Donwin Saul says, in every line of work, I've noticed what Joe said. It's happening that people will try to bring other people down. And yeah, you know what? It's probably in other industries as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's definitely everywhere.
Yanni says, Obakeng, wise words, dude. Wise words. I wish more people thought like that. Queen Wordsmith, we all have opinions. Shouting louder than the next doesn't mean your opinion is gold, though. Exactly.
Exactly.
Torture Sphere says, politics is simple. No matter who won the election, you as a citizen are getting fucked. Yeah, well, that's a simple way of looking at it. Charmaine asking, Werner looks like he is smoking a joint and listening to Bob Marley.
Well, I mean, if you consider Obakeng as Bob, sure. I mean, maybe
what?
No, I'm not. I'm not listening to Bob Marley. But yes, I am smoking some of my own homegrown, which I grew.
Oh man, I wish I need a joint right now. Really, I could use one of those. So if you got to connect,
it's not like it's real bush weed. I'm really just kind of like cleaning out to get the seeds.
I'll take anything right now. I'll even take a shot of Nyawo Bell.
All right, so we are going a bit over time, but I do want to. Man, I was hoping I'm just okay. So I wrote a few notes that I thought we could talk about, but maybe we can leave it for the next session, or when we do the question Q&A section in one of our episodes. So I'll leave it
like
here.
One or two.
What I would like to comment on, which I don't think I brought up in the comments, Torture Sphere said that comedy. Oh no, I did bring it up earlier. Comedy is dead, which I said you guys must keep in mind and give me your. Give me your opinion.
That is a good point.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because I said we were going to bring it up later. So
maybe just repeat that question or that statement. It was. I just want to hear because it did.
Yeah. He said, "Hey guys, don't know if you got the news, but comedy is dead. It cannot exist in a void. Online stand-up is not a thing."
Okay.
Well, I think he's probably talking about what's going on now. We're just in the middle of a freaking pandemic. That's it. Doesn't mean that the stand-up comedy is dead. It means everything is dead. Like the restaurants are dead. The business is dead because we have a fucking pandemic. Yes, online comedy stand-up is not a thing, but guess what? There are platforms that have been created like this one, like what's his name, Mario's, and all the other platforms that are coming up online, keeping stand-up comedy alive and also introducing acts that you, person that's saying comedy is dead, have never known. And then once this whole thing is over, you are going to go see them on stage because you saw them where? On an online stand-up thing. So if you're saying it's not a thing, you're not helping. It's a thing and it's proven. You know what I mean? We have people that are doing online comedy right now that are getting opportunities to mix with other comedians from different countries, and now they have connects in the States or wherever, where they wouldn't have had such an opportunity if we weren't in this space. So comedy, online stand-up comedy is not a thing. A big F you. It is a thing because it's helping in more ways than you don't know, but you're only seeing it from a lens that you are looking at it at, and you have your facts completely fucked up. That's what I gotta say on that. Whoever that was.
Obakeng is on fire.
I officially now know. I know where my soapbox went.
No, No, I hate people that are not comedians. Like, you know, if you're not a fucking comedian,
But
you're not a comedian.
assumption. You
What
make an assumption.
are you? Okay,
Did
if he's
you
like,
just
but if you're
assume
not,
his
Maybe he isn't a
occupation?
comedian.
okay.
Maybe he is a comedian.
If I made
If he is a
made
comedian, he's a
if I
comedian
missed,
that hasn't been on an online
he
show.
isn't. But you know what I
Take a
mean.
breath. Take a breath.
And it's okay to not to hate them. And also,
I'm
and
a hollow
particularly, I want
victim.
to say, I'm also not a big fan of doing stand-up comedy online. I'm not, because it feels weird. You don't have people laughing at you. It's not the perfect medium. It really feels fucking weird. I want to be on stage. I want to have people laugh at me. Everyone wants that. We can't have that right now. So what are we supposed to do? Sit down and what? Jack off the whole damn time? No, we're gonna work. We're gonna make things work. You know what I'm saying? There's time for jacking off and there's a time for work. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna work. So if it's not a thing, it's not a thing for you. But guess what? It's creating other opportunities that you don't see. And you're blind from that perspective.
Look,
Thank you very much. God bless you guys.
Yeah. Look, Yanni
It's
said exactly. It's how I learned about you guys online for the win. And Yanni has become a huge fan of the roasts, by the way. He loved, he watched the one with Bev, you, and Mikhail. And he's a huge fan of Mikhail now as well.
Roast ever.
Yeah. Yabba Dabba Boor.
There we go.
That shit was amazing.
And that's the thing. I agree with you 100%, Obakeng. It might not be the same thing, but it's definitely actually created a lot of opportunities for.
Yeah, I would like to weigh in here. I think all stand-up comedians, all performers. I have friends that are trying to make a living with music and online music performances and concerts. It's not ideal, and no one said it was ideal. We never sold it as the ideal solution. It's purely a case of we had to adapt, and I think people misunderstand this. Adapting doesn't necessarily mean it's the perfect adaptation. This is my option. Let me do this or deteriorate further. So I think we adapted because we had to, not because we wanted to. I don't think anyone before this pandemic thought about let's bring comedy permanently to a laptop screen or a TV screen. It's purely a case of we needed to, we had to, because it's an outlet for us. We have these channels, Joe's, Mario's, Storms. We have an outlet that we didn't have in the first few weeks of lockdown. We still have the opportunity to practice our material. We still have the opportunity to meet new people. Because of the comedy roasts, I met great people like Storm, like Obakeng, like Yazid, and I am looking forward to the pandemic passing and physically sharing a stage with them.
Yeah.
I love doing roast battles. If I could choose between stand-up comedy and roast battles as a gig thing, I would choose roast battles. I would prefer to rip Anu QL's, the Durban Oak, a new one on a stage. But I don't have that opportunity now.
Shit.
I
would
love to roast. Mikhail just likes being mean. He loves it.
I love it.
I would love to roast. I would love to roast the hitchhiking hermit that forgot leg day on the stage. I really would. But we are in a pandemic.
I'm trying to create the mental picture in case I'm really struggling to see the hitchhike because those are two opposing things. Like a hermit won't fucking hitchhike, and if he's hitchhiking, he's walking. He doesn't need fucking leg days. You know what I mean?
Wait.
It's just like it doesn't.
Come on, just so the viewers know, who is the hitchhiking hermit?
From whose side? Do you want my educated opinion on this man?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
just the name.
Joe,
you don't have to go into like a flippin' roast now.
Okay.
Just the name.
So, all right. So, Arnu QL's is a comedian.
So you're talking about so you're talking about Arno both times.
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
It's the same. It's the same sad individual.
I don't know.
So, But for example, we don't have that platform now. So we have online because that's the only thing we can have. So do I think comedy is dead? No, definitely not. Because we are still, even with a more serious chat like this, we are telling jokes and improvising and dicking about a bit. So I don't think comedy is dead. I don't think this online thing is a void. It's an adaptation we were forced to use.
Yes.
But I don't think any comedian, once we have the freedom of movement and hopefully the pandemic has subsided and less people are dying by the day, we all want that. I'm hoping that, I think all of us, not just us watching and us being here, any comedian, even the woke flip-flop pantoffel assholes.
And besides, man, if we don't have comics saying outlandish shit that we say or stuff that we need to say, they won't have, cancel culture will have nothing to do. They will have nobody to go after, because the cancel culture, people that do that, that's the only thing. They exist to purely go and try to, take people out.
I'm being online.
So should we give them some clickbait? Do you think we should do some clickbait? We take little snippets out of context from this talk, and we stitch them together to make it seems like we're hyper bigoted and hyper racist, and then say, "You won't believe what these three comics say."
Oh, that's probably already happened. That's probably already happened.
That's happened.
It's happened already.
Yeah, many people are going to be upset with me tomorrow morning. I'm not booking you ever again. I wasn't planning on doing your show, asshole, but thanks. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think.
Are you still talking about about online comedy?
No. I'm done.
No, like I said, I also don't think. I think it's something we're doing now. I can promise you tomorrow. I will promise this tomorrow. If all of us could go back to stage tomorrow, all of us will.
Yeah,
we're not. So we're doing this. This is temporary. I think Joe's channel will continue being a thing. I still think Storm's channel will continue being a thing. I think Mario has done a great thing with his laughter on lockdown as well. I think it will still continue being a thing, but it won't be as regular a thing because we'll be able to keep ourselves busy with actual stage time. This is temporary, and we are like everyone else at the moment. We're just trying to make the best of it, and performing online is at the moment the best we can make of it.
Yeah. And no industry is immune to disturbance.
I'd like to add a few things to this whole, the comedy industry dead comment, right?
Okay, before you do, I just want to ask one thing. In the comments, let me know in the next 2 minutes. 1 minute. In the next 1 minute, let me know. Do you guys want us to continue until 10? In the comments, let me know, because there's another 15 minutes and then we'll cut it. Otherwise, we'll end off right after Werner's comment now. So, yeah, go ahead, Werner.
Okay, so first off, the comedy industry was arguably dead before COVID, right? I think, and yes, there may have been gigs, yes, there may have been paying gigs, but from what even myself, as and I consider myself an outsider at this point in time, right? I stopped being actively gigging about 7 years ago. Now, since then, I do once a year. I go do a festival up in Joburg where we do like a whole day thing. But that's like the amount of stage time that I've done. But to me, comedy, and the whole time I was in it, the reason why I never really took it serious was it doesn't pay, right? So now this may seem capitalist, right? But I came from a place of I did comedy for the love of comedy. I never did it for the money. It was never about the money for me. But I could see for the people that wanted to do comedy as a job, the South African industry as a whole does not support comedy. And people can prove me wrong. Yes, we have a couple of big festivals, but what do? They bring international acts now, And to my opinion, there are way more local acts that are funnier than these, imports, right? So this local South African comedy industry, according to my, let's call it from a financial perspective, was dead before this anyway. So is it dead now? I think actually comedy is gonna have a revival like you wouldn't see or believe once people are let out the sluice gates, right? So I think what is happening, people are now, in a way, starting to veer away from traditional media. They're starting to find alternative outlets, kind of like these channels. There's loads of these, like Mikhail saying, is popping up, right? And that's a good thing. It's like almost information and entertainment democracy. So no longer do you have this thing of massive conglomerates owning comedy shows. Now you almost have this ability where you can go directly to the people that want to view, and people will follow who they connect with.
Yeah.
And I think in this, people are now given this opportunities to find, because it's like the moment you put anything under pressure, like, and this is like plants, for instance. If you stress a plant, it actually bears better fruit in its next fruiting cycle. Same with cannabis. If you stress the plant, it becomes a better plant. So same with human beings. The moment that you stress something, it becomes better. And I think this is what we're seeing, what's happening now. People are needing to find new ways to perform, to find their voice, and to entertain people. Whether that's being just funny, or whether that's being accidental funny, or whether it's mixing information with humor. Like I said, that to me is almost where this liberation / anarchy, true democracy of humor is happening. So I think it's a good thing. Is it dead? No, it was dead. I think it's in for a revival. I think we're going to see a massive change in how comedy is going to go forward. I don't think you'll see the same people on top who used to be on top. Just because it's now going to be a vote of people as opposed to who you're being given on a platter.
Well, Torture Sphere continues and says, my point is that it cannot exist in a void. Don't you feel stupid?
Absolutely. No, of course.
Yeah. Don't you feel stupid just repeating your jokes in yourself in a room with no reaction? Maybe a laughing emoji or two. Have some self-respect, fellas. That's an interesting. The last part is interesting. Have some self-respect, fellas. See, now that's a matter of opinion. That's a matter of like an artist. This goes back to the whole, it is your decision what you want to do. None of us are telling you to go online and tell jokes.
I'd like to say, I mean, it's, in a way, he's right? I mean, none of us like to sit and tell jokes, and that's why there's 4 of us, and that's why we've decided this kind of thing works, because we can hear each other, we can joke with each other, there's discourse, right? So it's almost like I'm having a chat with my Chinese, and we happen to some of it used to be funny, and some people find it entertaining and informative. Does that represent comedy in the true sense? No, of course not. That's not traditional comedy. I mean, my stand-up comedy is so far removed from the person that's sitting on the couch here, seeing me play. It's like it's a very different persona, right? You have to be able to see the distinction. Like this is, this is nothing more than a bunch of, amateur comics, for a lack of a better word, having a discussion on, culture. That's what it is. It's not. It's fuck off, Joe. You're still
you lost me an amateur. You lost me an amateur. I was with you until you and I was like, yo.
Hey. Are any of you VAT registered? Then shut the fuck up. Okay?
Hey.
Shut the fuck up.
Actually, no, I'm not.
Okay? You only
now you're the one that's cancelling now. You're cancelling us right now. You're cancelling.
This is financial cancelling.
IRP5 matters.
IRP5 matters.
Mikhail has Mercedeses, okay? Obakeng has a Soweto hat.
I want to see comedy in South Africa grow. I would.
No, definitely.
I've always said, like if I've got millions in the bank that I've got, I would find a vehicle for my fellow comics to make something and really put, because I know humor connects human beings, right? and I know there is an appetite for it, but there's no investment in it. Like, and nobody wants to put up that money, and I understand why. It's a risky business, right? And you don't do comedy. I mean, ultimately, you don't do comedy for the financial gain. It's just, if you look at the number,
would love to. I mean,
you'd
hell
love
no,
to,
I'd
but
like to get more paying gigs
if you
than
look
non-paying gigs.
purely, if you want to get the Trevor Noah kind of money, you got to be able to
sell your soul.
Like these, like I say, it's like how many comedians are going to that are current comedians are going to be able to retire comfortably just from being comedian?
Not many, to be honest.
See,
But here's the
that
thing
is
again.
a serious question.
The thing again is there's no industry that is immune to disturbance. You know what I mean? The internet just like it fueled and also disturbed a lot of anything traditional.
Yep.
Many people could go out before because what was happening inside the house was boring. So the only means of entertainment was to go outside and go to either comedy shows or concerts or whatever the case may be, because those are the only options you had. And then come internet time, where now you can be entertained from the privacy of your own home. So people are always going to choose whatever is convenient to them. And the aftermath of that, it disturbs the traditional structure of this thing that we've known. Music has seen that, comedy is not immune to that, and a hell of a lot of other industries as well. You know what I mean? The Instagram chefs have disturbed the restaurant. And what I'm saying is that comedy is evolving just like any other industry, just like music, just like it's evolving, because all of this that's happening now, right? Us, like people that are making sketch comedy. I mean, I've started making sketch comedy because of lockdown and such. Like, you've started a platform, Joe. There's roast battles. Online roast battles was never a thing, but now it gained popularity out of nowhere. And this is a medium that might just continue to post this. So it is evolving. Also, it's also like you were saying, Werner. Yes, we don't make a lot of money from it, and it's been disturbed by whatever that disturbed it before. I'm still new in it, but I'm figuring it's the same things that affected music and such like. But it doesn't stop the fact that it's evolving. And if you're going to be active in comedy as a stand-up comedian, you have to make sure that you utilize every single tool and every single talent that you have in order to make a life out of it. You can't just be a stand-up comedian on stage only and not do voiceover work, and not, because you have to, in any creative sphere, you have to be multifaceted, and that's that, because that's the way of the world right now, and nobody is immune to that, despite regardless of which industry you're in.
All right, so I just want to quickly, Mikhail, I just want to get to this comment here. Queen Wordsmith again saying, one, virtual reality is really about breaching the gap between being in an actual setting with humans and offering a service. Two, you don't see anyone telling speakers and preachers to have self-respect when they're busy preaching and speaking to an empty room. And three, actors and newsreaders that are out here speaking to no one and acting on film is nothing different, really. Very, very good points. But again, this whole thing about, I just want to say something very quickly, and then I'll let Mikhail, and then Mikhail can talk, and then we'll finish off on Mikhail. This whole, I gotta be honest. Like, some people are saying that it was trolling when he said, have some self-respect, fellas. I get this notion, and I think a lot of the senior comedians say this a lot. Like, don't do gigs for free. Don't sell yourself short. Know your worth. The whole thing when people tell you, when a client says, "Oh, but I'll give you a lot of exposure." In that regard, yes, there needs to be some self-respect as an artist, as a performer, especially if you've been doing it for a number of years, and you know that you're at a certain standard of entertainment. However, we are at the moment in a very different situation. We can't go to a stage. There are no corporate gigs, at least not ones that we are getting at the moment. Only the big names are getting the corporate gigs, and even those are, from what I hear, far and in between, because corporates don't have a lot of money these days. So it's a very different time at the moment. And if you want to stay relevant, and if we as performers want to stay relevant, and this goes across the board, whether you're a musician, comedian, actor, You have to produce content. You have to stay relevant. You have to keep in the people's mind. Otherwise, you're going to be forgotten by the end of this lockdown. We don't know how long this lockdown is going to last. It could last another 3 weeks. It could last another 3 months. And it's probably going to be the latter. But there are some... I'm not saying that every performer now needs to make a YouTube channel or needs to make an Instagram profile or whatever. But to some extent... Yeah. But to some extent, I would suggest and recommend...
By the way, my handle is...
I would recommend that they do something, whether it be writing, whether it be rapping, whether it be voiceover work, like Obakeng said, just something. And that, I think, is going to garner more self-respect if you try and stay in the limelight as much as possible than sitting around in your room doing nothing.
Right. Don't try solo male porn. It's not a well-paying genre.
I just opened a sex toy business for men. I don't know if you guys want to be any of my. Just saying, it's a side hustle. Hustle. I sell prosthetic hands.
All right, so we're approaching.
Are you tired of using your own palm? Sorry.
What the
wanker palms?
All right. Moving on. We're approaching 10 o'clock, so I will we'll listen to Mikhail, and then we're going to end it off.
All right. So that comment about having self-respect, I think we've all reacted to it. I just want to give my reaction. So, welcome to the Cancel Comedy Club College of Knowledge. So I'm gonna learn you good now.
I'm gonna just shift for this. I'm gonna sit right.
Yeah, me too.
No,
Gotta get my back straight for this one.
So, firstly, his choice of words were a bit incorrect. Physics determines a void as an existential space where literally the only thing that exists is that of nothing. So firstly, your choice of words is very, very incorrect. Because even though YouTube and Instagram has very dumbed down information and products and stuff, when I last checked, YouTube is not a void where absolutely nothing exists in a space that cannot be determined. So firstly, that choice of words is really, really incorrect. So whether it was a comment or a troll, as with just educate yourself, please.
They just used the void at ShopRite. Void, please, void.
It's like
void. So if you want to use the word void for what you stated, please just replace it with the correct word. And then secondly, once again, I now have to repeat myself. I wasn't born twice, but apparently I am. We never said this is ideal. We said what we are doing now is an adaptation. This is better than sitting at home and running jokes through our heads to absolutely no one. Because that is the alternative that we have now. We are in a pandemic. We are under lockdown, and whether we agree with it or not, that's a discussion for a completely different day. But we are limited in our movement and our social interaction. So we either have this that introduces new comics to people, gives comedians the opportunity to be content providers, giving comedians the opportunity to learn a new skill, or we can sit at home and literally just giggle for ourselves because we had a funny joke running through our head. None of us in an ideal world would like to perform to a comment section and emojis. None of us. We want to hear the crowd laugh. We want to hear the crowd boo really cock comedians. We really want to hear the crowd go ooh because you dropped a punchline that might upset little children. We all want that. We all crave that. We all want to have
No. We don't crave the little children thing. I don't.
No, you said you don't crave little children. I'm talking about a really very mean punchline. We all crave that. We want that interaction. It's the whole point of being a stand-up comedian, is being able to interact. this group of people, this group of strangers, walking onto stage as a stranger and making strangers laugh. We want that. We yearn for that. This is the closest we're going to get. We have no alternative. Unless you want to sit at home and go, I'm a stand-up comedian, I'm going to wait a year, 2 years, however long this lockdown happens. And if you choose to do so, that's fine. That's your choice. If you can use this time at home and not be interactive and polish your material, well done, son. Absolutely well done, son. Some of us want to use this opportunity to use each other as a soundboard and bring entertainment to people at home. That's the whole point of stand-up comedy, is to entertain others. That is what we are doing. Not the ideal situation, not the ideal platform, definitely not a fucking void. But the point being is, we don't have another opportunity to entertain people. So yeah, would I rather hear someone laugh at a good joke than see someone spam 3 emojis? Obviously. But this is the best we have, and it's got nothing to do with self-respect, because we determine self-respect. We determine if we wake up in the morning and decide whether we're worth it or not. The people watching the shows on this platform will still be able to determine whether we're good enough or not. Yeah. If either of us do comedy shows or roast battles on Joe's show, and people don't think we're good, the viewership will obviously start tanking. So at least we still have a form of a barometer here. So all of us have enough self-respect, and we also have enough self-respect, self-determined, to choose whether we want to continue doing this or not. If I appear on Joe's show in a roast battle and I do well or I do badly, I'm still going to wake up the next morning and still find positives in life to look at and feel positive about and see my blessings where they are and count them. It's not about having a lack of self-respect. And once again, I'm going to repeat this because apparently I had to. I need to go finish my education degree, apparently. But we determine self-respect. That's for us to determine, no one else. So if we want to appear on these channels, then believe it or not, we have enough self-respect because we were able to determine whether we wanted to do it or not.
Exactly.
And then the same guy says, I think he's a troll, to be honest, but he says, so go busk then. And we are busking, technically.
Joe, I'm going to quickly interrupt you. If he's a troll or if he's a comedian, I openly challenge you to a comedy roast.
Yeah, he's using a fake anonymous account. He won't.
No, but I will
openly challenge. We're giving this guy way too much smoke. He's a troll.
Yeah,
definitely doesn't have fingernails.
So then, look, there's for this guy for this guy that is watching. I would like you to email me, because I know you're a comedian. You have to be. Email me, and I won't disclose your name. I won't even tell people that you were this guy, but I just want you to email me, because he says, "Come at me, bro." Well, email me, and we'll set up a roast with you and Mikhail. How about that? Or even better, I'll have you on the panel on the show, and you can give your opinions. And
if he's worried, he can bring a friend.
Venner, you wanted to say something?
Nothing like a gangbang. So for me personally, right? I do this because I just enjoy chatting with these guys. Like there's no I'm not even here to try to be funny. It's like if this was trying to shape comedy for me, I'd write a little bit of a set. I'd pick some things out of the political sections and fucking make some notes, and I'd maybe do funny voices and shit. But what we're really just discussing things. We call it like funny. You should say that. So consider this. This is more like political commentary with a splash of humor, the odd curse word. And a little bit of a jibe and fun one, because I think we can all agree that between a lot of us, we're all fairly intelligent individuals, and we realize what we're doing here isn't as awesome as being on a stage, and I'll say this, being in front of a stage And getting that laugh from the audience is like there's no drug that can match it. And I have taken some serious fucking shit in my life, right? I can tell you what, nothing compares to walking off a stage, with, after, playing in front of 400, 500, 900 people, right? And they just had a fucking huge laugh. Some of it's, deprecation, humor, there's sex and all that kind of stuff, but still, you made random strangers laugh on purpose. Do you know how difficult that is? And when you get that, it's awesome. Does this match that? Of course not, man. Don't be, you got to be. I don't want to use
stupid.
Don't be a void.
Stupid. Don't be a void.
Don't be a void.
Don't be a void.
Don't try and compare like a live setting and a stage with online. It's like, who does that? It's like comparing wanking in your room to being at a strip club. It's not the same thing. And wanking or being wanked. It just depends on how much you spend it. There's levels. Understand? There's levels. So, so I suggest,
Pornhub experience talking.
So I'd say, come on the panel. And if you think comedy is dead, come say why you think it's. And I, like I said, I agreed from a financial perspective it was dead before, but I definitely think things are changing.
Yeah.
And I know things are changing because I'm, and look, I do this. I do a lot of other work that is not this, but I'm going to use these guys, and they're going to get paid because they're funny and they can do accents.
Here we go. That's what I want to hear, Jack. I can do accents. That's terrible. That's a terrible Richard Pryor.
Well, he says
I would
torture.
love to do a good Richard Pryor, but I just can't.
Torture Sphere says he's going to text me, so that should give us a clue.
Oh yeah. All right, cool.
All right, we'll see.
Let go.
Like I said, if he comes
Cool.
onto the panel or if he goes into a roast, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. We'll just have him on as a guest, and he can explain his side of things, which I'm very, very.
We're just having fun. Hey, we're just having fun. We give as good as we get.
Yeah.
So we'll love you if you come on the show. If you give us shit, we'll give you shit back. Just get that,
just don't be a Dylan Willifant.
It's probably him. Although Dylan doesn't have my number, so I don't think it's
as my black people would say, kutense kunzima ku wow. Very tense.
And for the English speaking among us,
kutense kunzima ku. It's very tense. It's very nzima. It's very wow. Okay.
For those watching,
very wow.
The Peter translation will be, man, I'm not going to sit here.
Yeah. Yo.
Where am I? 20 rand, Obakeng.
Hey, man. Peter, if you're watching, I just drank your 20 rand yet again, bro. I paid a stripper. I put it in a stripper booty. That's what I did. It's chilling right now in some aspect.
Do you see what this lockdown is doing? Strippers for $20.
No, that was before. That's before lockdown. You see, he gave me the 20 rand and I went to strip and I was like, boom. And that's where he's doing it.
No, I thought Obakeng was balling. I thought he was getting like Mr. Delivery strippers. I thought he was
Dude, you know when that Mavericks plane just flies by, like, and you see the thing, that's how they scope people out. So I just hold a smoke signal and next thing I get a delivery, but you never know. Also, that is an incorrect statement. Mavericks does not do that. They might just be a client. I don't know. I would love to dispel that.
Obakeng is
case I have to go
changed
make
what
jokes.
Uber Eats means.
Uber strip.
Shall we?
Yeah. All right. So on that bombshell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for giving your comments and your feedback. Hopefully we will have, what's her name? I forget her name now. Sorry.
Queen Wordsmith.
Yes, Queen Wordsmith on our show soon. Sam Jam will actually be on my show next week as well. That's, like I said, that's Samuel Sserwanga, is Peter's brother. He's going to be on my show. We're going to be talking about music and other things on my sit down and lockdown show. So look out for that. Hopefully we'll hear from Torture Sphere. I don't know if he will, but the offer has been put out. And to everyone else, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Charmaine, Sam, Spikerand, and everybody else, Etheria, where's his name? I wanted to give him a thank you because he's always, Yanni and Donwin. Thank you all so much. This has been a very interesting chat. We will continue the woke conversation next week. Hopefully we're going to either have Queen Wordsmith or Chico will be joining us. Not Chico. Storm might be joining us. Either one. So yeah, they have some opinions they want to give as well. And of course, maybe the Sphere guy will also join. Do you guys
maybe Peter if he decides.
And maybe Peter too, yeah.
Maybe Kyle will be back.
All right.
I'm not gonna sit here and not ask people to follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, Obakeng.Moroe. I got a plug, man. You gotta give us time to do our plugs, man. I love it. Follow me on Instagram, Obakeng.Moroe, Moroe. That's me on Instagram, where I'll be doing some online comedy.
In your void, remember,
in my void.
IRP5
on my channel and other channels.
IRP5 void.
And yes, that's what we go. I think that's my next comedy special. Confessions of an IRP5 comedy.
Voiding the IRP5.
Well,
yeah, man. But keep supporting Joe's channel. Fuck yeah.
Thank you. Yes, if you're new, please subscribe. And I think my next one-man show is going to be called Being Cancelled, or something to that, or maybe Egyptian Piece of Shit. That might be a good one.
Or just Nikki.
Shit.
Sorry.
Egyptian Piece of Shit doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
Just call your show Bianca Says What.
You said what? Oh, you support who now? Sorry, guys.
This should be the trailer. Because the previous was just shit. And this is, right here. This last 30 seconds. Okay, cut it, Joe. Cut it.
Cool.
Anyway,
cheers, guys. Good night.
It's gonna go on forever. Peace.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and a share. That's how my content gets out there. Also, don't be afraid to comment. I usually do respond to the comments in the comment section below. If you want to support my channel, please go to the link in the description below, support my channel, and you'll be taken to my website, which has all the details. Also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, feel free to check out the links below to my social media accounts. Give me a follow, and I'll see you at the next one.